At my 40th birthday celebration, my wife handed me a gift box that turned out to contain divorce papers, meant as a prank. The room erupted in laughter. I simply extinguished the candles on my cake and made a silent wish. 2 days later, she received a letter from my attorney. A man's 40th birthday is supposed to be a landmark, a moment to reflect on life's achievements and celebrate with loved ones. My 40th last weekend was indeed unforgettable. It was the day I realized my wife of a decade didn't just lack respect for me, she actively scorned me. And it was the day I decided to turn the tables. Let me set the scene. I'm Michael and I run a successful property development company. It's a demanding job with big payoffs and I've built a solid career. My wife, Sarah, used to manage a boutique art gallery, but now, in her words, orchestrates our lifestyle. In truth, she spends her days at Pilates classes, sipping wine with her jobless friends and burning through my income. For years, I didn't mind. I loved her and took pride in providing a life where she didn't need to work. But over time, her attitude shifted. Gratitude gave way to a toxic sense of entitlement. I went from being her partner to her financier, from her husband to a bottomless bank account. Her jabs, always delivered in front of her friends, grew sharper and meaner. She ridiculed my taste in books, my dull love for hiking, even my wardrobe. I was the ordinary guy funding her extravagant life, and she seemed to resent me for it. I wasn't spineless. I fought back. We had explosive arguments, the kind that rattle the walls. Each one ended with her in tears, accusing me of being too sensitive, unable to handle her teasing. Then she'd freeze me out for days, and I foolishly would eventually cave just to restore calm in my own home. I knew our marriage was crumbling. I suggested couples therapy. She scoffed, saying, "We don't need a therapist, Michael, you just need to chill out." So, for my 40th, she decided to help me relax with a grand gesture. She hosted a lavish party at our home, my home, an important detail. All our friends were there, and on the surface, it was a perfect evening. Great food, lively music, everyone enjoying themselves. Then came the cake and gifts. I sat at the head of the dining table, a massive cake blazing with 40 candles before me. The crowd sang, and for a fleeting moment, I felt hopeful, thinking maybe we'd be okay. Then Sarah emerged from the kitchen, holding a single, elegantly wrapped gift box. "One last present, darling," she said, her voice dripping with mock affection. "This one's special from me." She set the box in front of me. It was weighty. I glanced at her, noticing a mischievous gleam in her eyes, a signal I'd come to associate with trouble. Her trio of snarky friends, whom I've always disliked, stood behind her, phones out, filming. I opened the box. Inside, wrapped in tissue, was a sleek leather portfolio. I flipped it open. The first page bore the letterhead of a law firm, Carter & Wells, and in bold letters, "Petition for dissolution of marriage." It was a complete, legally drafted set of divorce papers listing our names and details. She'd gone to a lawyer to create this for a prank. I stared at the documents. The room fell silent, then a giggle broke out. One of her friends, then another. Soon half the room, her half, was roaring with laughter, a harsh, mocking sound. Sarah stood there, grinning like she just pulled off the greatest joke ever, basking in her friend's approval. I didn't speak. I looked at the papers, then at her, laughing at my expense. I gazed at the 40 candles flickering on my cake, took a deep breath and blew them out, making a very specific wish. Then I stood, flashed a calm smile, and said, "Hilarious prank, sweetheart. You really nailed it. Now excuse me, I'll grab more wine." I left the room without looking back. The party was done. My marriage was done. And Sarah had just given me the perfect excuse to dismantle her world. I played the good sport for the rest of the night, returning with wine, laughing, and acting unfazed. Sarah and her friends reveled in their victory, thinking they'd once again proven I was the dull guy who'd take their cruelty lying down. They didn't realize they were toasting their own demise. After the last guest left at 2 a.m., I went to my study, still holding the box of divorce papers. I examined them. They were real. She'd paid a lawyer to draft them. The planning behind it was staggering. I didn't sleep. Instead, I sat at my desk, plotting. My revenge had to be calculated, not emotional, devastating in its precision. Monday morning, I sprang into action. First, I called my attorney, a formidable divorce lawyer named Laura, known for her ruthless efficiency. I shared the story and sent her the videos her friends had recorded. After a pause, she said, "Oh, this is going to be a pleasure." Next, I hired a private investigator, targeting Sarah's closest friend, Jessica, the leader of her clique. I suspected Jessica's perfect life had cracks, and I told the pie to dig deep. Then I called my bank, draining my share of our joint accounts and canceling every credit card in Sarah's name. Her financial lifeline, me, was cut off. Finally, I dealt with Sarah's prized possession, a costly dressage horse, her symbol of status, stabled at an elite equestrian center. The fees paid by me were exorbitant. I visited the stable's manager, explained that Sarah and I were separating, and informed her I'd no longer cover the horse's expenses. Sarah, the horse's legal owner, would need to handle future payments or arrange for its removal. The manager nodded, saying she'd contact Sarah that day. I went home and waited. Around noon, Sarah texted in a panic. My card was declined at Saks. What's happening? I ignored it. An hour later, the stable called. They say you're not paying for Luna anymore. Is this a prank? It's not funny, Michael. I stayed silent, staring at the divorce papers she'd given me. She stormed in at 4 p.m., furious. Michael, what have you done? She demanded. I looked up from my laptop. Just following your lead, darling, I said coolly. You wanted a divorce. I'm just moving things along. Thought you'd be thrilled. It was a joke, she screamed. You know I didn't mean it. I stood facing her. You hired a lawyer, Sarah. You had legal documents drawn up. You and your friends planned it, filmed it. That's not a prank, it's a rehearsal. And you know what? You convinced me. Divorce it is. You can't do this, she cried. I can, I said. And I am. My lawyer will contact yours tomorrow, the firm you so kindly named. Find a way to pay them because I won't. Same goes for your horse, your car, your lifestyle. The bank of Michael is closed. I walked to my study, shut the door, and let her rage in the living room. It was the sound of a woman realizing the punchline was on her. The next weeks were a whirlwind of legal moves and Sarah's spiraling desperation. Laura, my lawyer, filed a counterpetition citing emotional cruelty, using the birthday party videos as evidence. The judge, Laura said, found the prank appalling. Sarah's world collapsed fast. With no access to funds, she couldn't pay the equestrian center, which gave her a week to cover thousands in fees or lose her horse. Her leased car in my name was repossessed from her parents' driveway, where she'd moved. Her friends, who'd laughed at my humiliation, vanished when the free lunches stopped. The Pie's report was gold. Jessica was having an affair with the husband of another friend, Lisa. I held on to the evidence, my trump card. At our settlement conference a month later, Sarah's lawyer demanded the house, half my company, and alimony. Laura countered, stating Sarah would get nothing and might owe me for shared debts. When infidelity was raised, Sarah's lawyer looked puzzled until I leaned in and said, I know about Jessica and Mark. Sarah paled. Jessica was her alibi for countless outings. Mark was Lisa's husband. If this goes to court, I said, your friends will testify under oath about the affair, the prank, everything. Want to drag them down with you. Or sign the papers, walk away with nothing, and we both move on. Sarah signed the papers 2 weeks later, cornered by the threat of exposure. Her life is in shambles. The affair came out, destroying her friend group. Lisa divorced Mark, taking everything. Jessica's a social outcast, and Sarah, abandoned by her allies, sold her horse at a loss and works a dead-end job living with her parents. I saw her once at one of my restaurants. She was on a date with some flashy guy. When she saw me, her face twisted with fear and loathing. They left soon after. My revenge wasn't about money or assets. It was about stripping her power, her social status, her manipulations. I held up a mirror, exposing her as the cruel, entitled person she was. She thought she could toy with my love and respect. In the end, I walked away first, leaving her to face the consequences of her own downfall. My life is calm now. It's mine, entirely mine.